Thank you very much. All right, let me see if I can do this slide. There we go. Design thinking. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. I've had a great opportunity the last year to introduce this to Cox Communications, and so I kind of want to tell you a few stories around that. So, Cox, a lot of people don't know what Cox is. So Cox is a family of companies. Enterprises sits at the top, and underneath that is Cox Communications, Cox Media, and Cox Automotive. Cox Media brands such as WSB TV, the AJC, B985, ton of brands that you probably use every day, just don't know about. Automotive has a ton of other brands like Kelley Blue Book, Auto Trader, Manheim Auto Auctions. There's a lot of brands there. And then the communications group is what I'm in. So our campus is on Peachtree Dunwoody in Perimeter. We occupy all four of those buildings. It's a decent sized company, and so it's been a challenge to try to steer the ship, move the ship with such a large company, because we have just a whole host of products. There's TV, internet, phone, home security, everything else. So we're a user experience center of excellence. That means that we basically take on projects across the enterprise. So we're not just looking at Cox.com or other kind of digital properties. But we're a team. We have 11 designers, 5 research and analytics. The real secret sauce is we blend together research and design. So it's a package. You don't break it apart. If you don't do the research up front, you don't understand what you're building. And if you don't test at the end, you don't know if you got it right. So we're a very diverse group. We come from a bunch of different backgrounds. We went to a bunch of different schools. We worked for a bunch of different companies. That gives us a lot of diversity of thought, and I think that's the secret sauce of why we've been successful the past couple of years. The research, analytics, and design, we pitch it as a yin and yang, that you can't, if you take one out, you just have a comma. So design thinking at Cox. So one example I wanted to share is most people think, oh, design thinking, you're building electronic products, or you're building websites, this, that, and the other. Not at all the case. The first thing we went for was an opportunity that came up with employee onboarding. The company, there was a new group called Organizational Effectiveness within Cox, and they were standing the group up, and the executive director said, I need to create a roadmap. I have no idea where the problems are in the company. Can you help me? I said, absolutely. Design thinking is a perfect opportunity to do that. So we interviewed, because the company was facing a lot of challenges. People were dropping out even before they started. They were dropping out within 6 weeks. They were dropping out within 6 months. The attrition rate was absurd. So there was clearly a problem. Let's figure this out. So we interviewed 70 employees, active employees, ex-employees, ones that had just left, supervisors, managers, tried to understand the opportunities. We did workshops with leaderships in our markets as well as in Atlanta. And we generated journey maps. We had like over 4,000 pieces of data. It was a significant effort, but it allowed the executive director to build a roadmap, a 3-year roadmap, but also a 5-year roadmap. And it really put us on the map from design thinking. So the moral of the story is don't just limit to yourself where you're operating now. Look for those opportunities outside the space. So teaching design thinking. I've had the opportunity to bring design thinking into Cox, and we're full bore. We are teaching that to basically anybody who'll listen. We've set up a class, a workshop. It's a full-day workshop, immersive. We have it in the Cox University. They sign up. It's an in-person workshop. They come in. I teach them the whole process over the course of the day. They work on some examples and the spaces. So by the end of the day, they can not only spell design thinking, they actually understand it, and they can go back and practice it. And so we've seen it kind of boomerang, where they not only practice it, but they're aware, so then they pull us in on later engagement. So it's almost like a business development as well as helping the company as a whole. So how did we get started? We actually started with the interns. It's a group you would not normally think, but it's a large group. So it's between 40 and 70 interns that Cox Communications has year over year. And so we train them right from the start. And this year we're actually training the hiring managers of the group so they can have the same conversation. Where we found, because the interns are spread across the company, if we train the interns, they come back and they tell the stories about this design thinking, and we should really consider that. We saw some pull from technology and from other groups from that. So, and then it's actually gotten up to the executive level, and we were asked to come in with all the senior executives and do a second day of an innovation workshop using design thinking. We didn't do the whole process, we just did part of it, but that was great exposure. So definitely look for those opportunities. This is just a sample agenda of what we do for our design thinking workshop. The first part of the day, we teach them about design thinking, and then we break into groups. We go through the process again, and then we have them work in individual groups on specific problem spaces. So learning the process, we have a couple handouts that we utilize. We take the gift-giving worksheet or the wallet worksheet from Stanford and from the D School and utilize that as part of our process. We also have developed a design thinking toolkit that they get as part of the class, and it walks them through the process. It has some different examples, and it's a takeaway. It's something they can constantly reference, and it's also a very visible artifact of that. So we work through the process here. We haven't expanded it like IBM. IBM adds a couple other steps and components to it. We kept it very true to there and branded it as kind of for our own brand. This is some examples from that toolkit I showed. So we break it into the different sections. And so, for example, like prototype, we walk through the whole process of what it means to prototype and have examples that we walk through. I want to quickly get to my couple other pages where we talk about the tools. And so these are the breakout groups that we have, the kind of problem spaces they work through. We have them talk about onboarding. A lot of times they're interns. They just went through onboarding. They have a lot to say. Make work fun. The interns are typically millennials, so they have a different perspective than a lot of the people within Cox Communications, and brand loyalty. So these are spaces that are easily accessible. And then finally, we have a video that we put together that we share wherever we can.
Cox Communications University Relations is all about connecting you. Connecting you to other students in pursuit of similar goals and to a host of Cox professionals available to mentor you. But most of all, we connect you to a solid foundation for your professional success. We take pride in providing an innovative learning environment where you can learn from experts in key areas like design thinking. Design thinking is quickly becoming the go-to process in developing extremely effective products, spaces, services, and systems.
Design thinking, I think, should be a way of thinking. And I'm actually glad that Cox is bringing this design thinking process to the interns and co-ops here so that we can use it to solve real-world problems.
I never really thought of design thinking as a process where you visually lay out pretty much like a storyboard of all of your different ideas with your group members. It can be applied to anything and anywhere in all the departments.
Part of the surprise came in really how the activities we did today really increased my bonding with the people that I was working with. It really gave us a great chance to bond in a matter of a couple of hours in ways that I haven't bonded necessarily outside of this. The cool thing about design thinking is the methodology and framework that's provided here is so applicable to different projects.
As an intern, as we continue to work on various projects, it allows us to bring this thought into the technology that we're wanting to roll out to our consumers. And so when I go back to my team, I'm excited to sort of take this thought and say, hey, how can we better serve the population that we're choosing to target with our product, and how can we really dive deep into what their needs are, and then how can we provide a better solution for them.
Challenge yourself in the thriving environment at the leading edge of business. Start your journey at Cox Communications and get connected.
Okay, thank you.